So, good day everybody. I'm Attorney Shai de Guzman. I am your instructor, your lecturer for Criminal Law 2. Okay, so the last time I have already uploaded a video lecture introducing the whole subject of Criminal Law Book 2, and I have also given you a short background of the crimes, of the first few crimes that are covered by this subject, particularly treason, conspiracy and proposal to commit treason, misprision of treason, and espionage. Okay, so medyo na-discuss natin yung crimes na yun during the first video lecture. Okay. Also, I have sent to you your lecture notes. Okay, my lecture notes and the course syllabus, the course outline. Okay, and I have required you to do a reviewer as a requirement for passing this subject. Okay, so today we will be discussing these crimes, in a more comprehensive manner. So, kunin nyo na yung course outline nyo, yung lecture notes nyo, and we will start. For those who have their course or lecture notes, you go to page 113 or page 114 of your lecture notes. Doon tayo mag-start. Okay. For those who, however, who have not yet printed, their lecture notes, go to your Codal and go to Article 114. Okay. Doon nag-i-start yung Title 1. Okay. So, Book 2 starts with Title 1, Crimes Against National Security and the Law of Nations. Okay. So, dito tayo mag-start. Okay. For crimes against national security, it is covered, or it includes Article 114 to Article 117, which is treason, conspiracy and proposal to commit treason, misprision of treason, and espionage. Okay. These four crimes covered under Articles 114 to 117 are the crimes which are under crimes against national security. Okay. And then, Article 118 onwards, na nito yung inciting to war and giving motives for reprisals. Okay. Violation of neutrality. Okay. Correspondence with enemy country. Flight to enemy's country. And piracy and mutiny on the high seas. Okay. So, itong mga ito naman ay crimes against the laws of nations. Okay. So, why do we have to distinguish? Okay. So, for crimes against national security, yung treason, conspiracy and proposal to commit treason, espionage, these crimes, are actually crimes that, can be prosecuted, here in the Philippines, despite the fact that the acts, constituting the crimes were committed outside the country. Okay, balik tayo sa Criminal Law 1. Okay. During our Criminal Law 1 discussions, we discussed the three general characteristics of criminal law. Tama. Okay, ano yung three general characteristics of criminal law? Number 1, generality. Number 2, prospectivity. And number 3, territoriality. Okay. Under the territoriality principle, criminal laws are applicable only within the Philippine jurisdiction. That is the general rule. There, however, are several exceptions, wherein the extraterritorial application of criminal laws is allowed. Okay. This extraterritorial application is found or is applicable for the crimes against national security. Okay. Thus, yung treason, conspiracy and proposal to commit treason, misprision of treason, espionage, these are exceptions to the territoriality principle. These are exceptions to Article 2, Paragraph 5. Ito yung extraterritorial application of criminal laws. Okay. So, even if the acts, constituting these crimes were committed outside the Philippines, the actor or the offender can still be prosecuted here in the Philippines. Provided, however, that before prosecution can proceed, the offender must be brought before the Philippine courts. So, pag ginawa niya sa ibang bansa, yung treason, yung conspiracy, etc., pwede mo pa rin siyang i-prosecute dito sa Pilipinas. Okay? Provided na madala mo siya dito para mag-attach yung jurisdiction over the person of the accused. Okay? So, yun yung sa crimes against national security. Okay? Now, ano naman ang pinagkaiba doon sa crimes against laws of the nation? Okay, laws of nations. Okay. Yung inciting to war, violation of neutrality, correspondence with hostile country, violation of neutrality, sabi ko ba? And flight to enemy's country, and piracy and mutiny. Okay? These are crimes which are against international law. Okay? Against the laws of the nations. Okay? Ibig sabihin, the acts can be committed here in the Philippines or outside the Philippines, or the crimes can be committed anywhere. And crimes, okay, under the laws of nations, okay, can be prosecuted, okay, anywhere. Okay, so the acts can be committed here in the Philippines or outside the Philippines. Okay, they can be committed anywhere. Okay, and okay, the offender, okay, who commits these acts can be prosecuted also anywhere. Okay, pwede siyang i-prosecute kung saan niya nagawa yung acts, pwede siyang i-prosecute dito sa Philippines, pwede siyang i-prosecute ng kahit anong country. Because the acts constituting the offense are acts, okay, against the law of nations, against international law. Okay, so any jurisdiction, okay, can prosecute, okay, these crimes. Okay, yun yung pinagkaiba ng crimes against national security and crimes against the laws of nations. Okay, so gets ba natin yun? Okay. So, under Article 114, okay, the crime of treason is defined and penalized. Okay. So, pumunta kayo sa Article 114 ng Revised Penal Code. Kunin yung codal nyo, basahin nyo yung provision, okay, ng Article 114. Tapos nyo nang basahin, makikita nyo doon yung elements ng crime. Okay, tatlo yun. Number 1. Offender is a Filipino citizen or a person who owes allegiance to the Republic of the Philippines. Number 2, okay, there is a war in which the Philippines is involved. And number 3, offender either levies war against the government, okay, of the Philippines, or adheres to the enemies by giving them aid or comfort. Okay. So, tatlo yung elements. Okay. Number 1, the actor, okay, the person who is liable, who is a Filipino citizen or a person who owes allegiance to the Republic of the Philippines. Okay. Number 2, the situation, okay, meaning that there is a war in which the Philippines is involved. Okay. And number 3, the overt acts constituting treason, okay, which are the levying war or adherence to the enemies by giving them aid or comfort. Okay. So, dun tayo sa first element. The first element provides for the persons who are liable for the crime of treason. Okay. And, as provided under Article 114, Filipino citizens. Okay. And number 2, person who owes allegiance to the Philippines. Ano nga ba yung who owes allegiance? Ano yung allegiance? Okay. If we define allegiance, actually ito yung obligation mo sa taong mahal mo. Okay. When we say allegiance, it is actually defined as the allegiance, okay, the obligation of fidelity and obedience. Okay. So, allegiance is your obligation of fidelity and obedience to the Republic of the Philippines, okay, in exchange of the protection, okay, which the country gives you. Okay. So, while you are here in the country, okay, kahit alien ka pa, you are being given protection by the Republic of the Philippines. Hence, okay, resident aliens, okay, can still be held liable for the crime of treason. Because allegiance can either be permanent, okay, as in the case of Filipino citizens, of course, yung allegiance natin sa ating bansa ay permanent, okay, or temporary, okay, which is applicable for resident aliens. Okay? They owe temporary allegiance to the Republic of the Philippines. Okay? Okay. So, that is the first element. Okay. The second element is there is a war in which the Philippines is involved. Okay. This second element, okay, there is no need for a formal declaration of war for as long as there is an actual hostility, okay, involving the Philippines and another country. Okay. This crime of treason can be committed. Okay. And number 3, the overt acts. Okay. The overt acts, okay, are the ways of committing treason. Okay. So, number 1, levying war against the government. Okay. So, doon tayo sa first way of committing. Pag sinabi nating levying war, ang ibig sabihin, there is an actual assembly of men. Ang ibig sabihin, may mga tao na bumuo ng samahan, okay, para pabagsakin ang gobyerno. Okay? Actual assembly of men. And number 2, okay, the intent of these persons, okay, is to overthrow the government. Okay? So, yun yung dalawang material elements on the first way of committing treason. Actual assembly of men, and the intent is to overthrow the government. Okay? So, the second way of committing, okay, the crime of treason is through adherence to enemies, by giving them aid or comfort. Okay. Ngayon, okay, this adherence to enemies, okay, have two elements: actual adherence and giving them aid or comfort. Yung sinabi ng actual adherence, ito yung intentionally, okay, and emotionally favoring, okay, intellectually, emotionally favoring the enemy. Okay. Yung giving them aid or comfort, ito yung binaboost mo yung moral ng enemy country. You give them food, you give them information, okay, that may be detrimental to our Filipino soldiers. Yun yung giving adherence to enemies by giving them aid or comfort. Okay? So, gets? Okay. Those are the two ways of committing treason. Okay. Now, treason can be proved, okay, in two ways. Number 1 is through the two-witness rule or the severely restrictive rule. Okay, di-discuss ko yun mamaya. And number 2 is through a judicial confession. Okay. Yung judicial confession, madali lang yun. Okay. The offender, okay, confessed, okay, to the commission of the crime. Okay. Either in open court or through in writing, assisted by counsel, and provided, okay, that the court has, okay, inquired as to the voluntariness of this confession. Okay, so, yung judicial confession, i-discuss ko yun later on the next topics na darating. Okay. But anyway, for purposes of our discussion for treason, yun lang yung kailangan. Okay. Judicial admission. Pag inamin na, okay, nung mga akusado na sila ay guilty of treason. Okay. So, dun tayo sa mas importante. Okay. Through the two-witness rule or the severely restricted rule. Okay. The acts of treason, okay, the crime of treason can only be proven, okay, by the two witnesses, okay, testifying on the same overt act. Okay. So, dapat may dalawang witness. Okay. So, gawa tayong scenario. For example, okay, Dennis is a soldier. Ay, wag. Masyadong, okay. Dennis is a normal person. Okay. Okay. Dennis is walking along Baywalk. Okay. And he saw several trucks. Okay. May nakita siyang mga trucks na nakalinya. Tapos, nung binuksan yung mga trucks, may mga lamang mga armas. Okay. May mga matataas na kalibre ng baril, mga bala. Okay. In-unload sa isang warehouse. Okay. Na nasa Baywalk. Just in case. Okay. So, nagtaka siya kung ano yung mga yon. Okay. Tapos, nakita niya maraming mga kalalakihan, maraming tao na nandoon sa warehouse. Okay. So, the next day, okay, si Ace. Okay. Si Ace naman ay caretaker ng warehouse. So, si Ace, okay, habang naglilinis siya, nakita niya, okay, na yung mga tao na nandoon sa warehouse, na may mga hawak na matataas na kalibre ng baril, may mahawak silang mga plano, okay, narinig niya, okay, that they are planning, okay, to overthrow the government. Okay. Tapos, susugod sila sa ganitong oras, tapos nasugod na pala nila yung isang government office, kakatapos lang, tapos bukas susugod nila. Narinig yun lahat ni Ace. So, question. Can the offenders, okay, yung mga tao na nandun sa warehouse, can they be prosecuted for treason? Dalawa na yung witness, si Dennis at si Ace. Can they be prosecuted for the crime of treason. Okay. Na-comply na ba natin yung two-witness rule, yung severely restrictive rule? Okay. Comply na ba? Pwede na ba silang i-convict sa treason? The answer is no. Not yet. Okay. Because, okay, for the crime of treason, the witnesses must testify on the same overt act. Ang ibig sabihin, doon sa pag-unload ng firearms, doon sa truck, dapat dalawa ang witness. So, si Dennis, tapos isa pa. Okay. Doon sa meeting, okay, na naganap, dapat dalawa din ang witness. Si Ace, tapos isa pa. Hindi pwedeng isa-isa. Okay. For one particular act, there must be two witnesses. Okay. In order for offenders, okay, to be convicted of the crime of treason. Okay? Gets? Okay. Now, what else? Okay. For this severely restrictive rule or this two-witness rule is only applicable if the way of commission of treason, important concept, okay, under this provision of the law is that, okay, for the crime of treason, okay, the principle of absorption is applicable. Ano yung principle of absorption? Ang ibig sabihin, crimes which are committed in furtherance of treason are considered absorbed on the crime itself. Okay? So, for example, okay, there is an actual assembly of men and they intend to overthrow the government. Okay? In furtherance of this common design, okay, they committed the acts of murder, of arson. Okay? You will not file, or you should not file, a separate and independent crime of murder or arson or robbery if that's the case. Okay? Because these crimes are considered absorbed, okay, in the crime of treason. Okay? So what else? So because of this principle of absorption, okay, you could not, okay, complex, okay, the crimes of murder with treason. There is only one crime committed, which is treason as defined and penalized under Article 114 of the Revised Penal Code. Okay. What else? Okay. So you cannot complex it. Okay. Okay. How about aggravating circumstances? Evident premeditation, yung superior strength, yung armed band, okay, armed men, band, okay. Could this aggravating circumstances be used, okay, in the crime of treason? No. Okay. Because these circumstances are considered inherent in the crime of treason itself. Pag sinabi natin inherent, ang ibig sabihin, kalakip na siya ng krimen. Hindi mo kasi magagawa yung treason kapag walang evident premeditation. Kasi nga, di ba, there is an actual assembly of men. Okay. Hindi mo pwedeng mag-commit yung treason kapag walang superior strength. Di ba? Okay. Because those crimes, those circumstances are actually the circumstances which constitute the acts or the overt acts for treason. Okay. So, okay na tayo sa treason. Wala na bang nakalimutan? Okay. Wala na. Okay. So, that is treason. Okay. Now, we go to the next article, Article 115, okay, which is conspiracy and proposal to commit treason. Okay. During our Criminal Law 1, we have discussed, okay, these concepts, yung conspiracy and proposal. Okay. So, balik tayo sa Criminal Law 1. Okay. Ano yung general, okay, requirements of criminal law? Actus reus tsaka mens rea. Okay, meaning the act and the criminal act and the criminal mind. Okay. Because of that general elements, okay, you cannot, okay, as a general rule, conspiracy and proposal to commit a felony is not a crime. Okay, kasi yun ay nandun pa sa mens rea, meaning nasa utak pa lang. Okay. Kasi, di ba, diniscuss natin yung Criminal Law 1. Okay, what if, sabi ko, papatayin ko si Dennis. Okay. Is that already a crime? No. Kasi, the criminal mind, okay, the act, okay, is still not yet done. Hindi pa nagagawa. So, meron ng criminal mind, pero nandoon pa lang siya sa stage na hindi pa siya na-execute. Okay. What if, inisip ko, papatayin ko si Dennis. Okay. Tapos, bumili ako ng muriatic acid. Okay. Is that already, okay, punishable as a crime? No. Okay. Because the act of buying muriatic acid is not one of the overt acts of homicide or murder. Correct? Wala pa. Wala pa. Mens rea pa lang yun, tapos hindi naman yung overt act. Okay. What if, bumili ako ng muriatic acid tapos nilagay ko sa pagkain ni Dennis? In that case, I may be held liable for an attempted or frustrated stage of a crime. Okay? Kasi, I have already acted upon my criminal mind. There are already overt acts. Okay? So, balik tayo dito. Sabi natin, yung conspiracy and proposal to commit a felony are not punishable. Okay? There is no criminal liability. The exception is if there is a specific law, okay, which provides otherwise. Di ba? Kapag may specific, okay. Kasi yun na yung conspiracy as a way of incurring criminal liability and conspiracy as a felony itself. Correct? Ito na yung conspiracy. Okay? Ito na yung conspiracy, okay, as a felony itself. Yung isa sa mga exceptions ng general rule. Itong Article 115. Okay. So, ano ang pinagkaiba ng conspiracy and proposal? Alam niyo na yan. Kapag conspiracy, okay, two persons come to an agreement, okay, to commit a felony, okay, and they decide to commit it. Kapag proposal naman is, okay, a person, okay, decides to commit a felony and he proposes its commission to another person. Okay. Yung conspiracy, kayong lahat, okay, ako, si Angeline, si Rose, okay, nag-usap-usap kami, tapos nag-decide kami na patayin si Dennis. That is conspiracy. Okay. Sabi ko, ganito, papatayin natin si Dennis. Okay. Papatayin natin si Dennis, papatayin natin si Dennis. Okay. Lahat kami, meron kaming common design. Pag sinabi na, naman na proposal, ako, nag-decide ako na patayin si Dennis. Pumunta ako kay Rose. Sabi ko, Rose, gusto mo bang patayin si Dennis? Umuo si Rose. That is proposal. Okay. Pinropose ko sa kanya yung commission of the crime. Okay. Now, this Article 115, okay, punishes conspiracy and proposal to commit the overt acts of treason. Okay? So, the next article is Article 116, which defines and penalizes misprision of treason. Okay. This Article 116 is actually a combination of Article 114, yung treason, and Article 115, which is conspiracy and proposal to commit treason. Okay. This Article 116, misprision of treason, is actually a crime by omission. This is an exception to the general rule that you cannot be made criminally liable for your silence. Okay. So, go to Article 116. Okay. Basahin nyo yung code nyo. Okay. Every person owing allegiance to the government of the Philippines without being a foreigner and having knowledge of any conspiracy against them, conceals or does not disclose and make known the same as soon as possible to the governor or fiscal of the province or the mayor or fiscal of the city in which he resides, as the case may be, shall be punished as an accessory of treason. So, under this provision of the law, there are three elements of the crime of misprision of treason. Number one, offender must be owing allegiance to the Philippines or to the Philippine government. So, parang treason. Okay. Only that, as provided under this provision, it should not be a foreigner. Okay. So, kung yung treason, pwedeng both permanent or temporary allegiance. Pag misprision of treason, it can only be committed by a person who owes permanent allegiance to the Philippine government. So, it could not be committed by foreigners. Okay? Next. Okay. He has knowledge of any conspiracy or proposal to commit treason. So, alam niya, okay, that there are persons, who are liable for Article 115, conspiracy and proposal. Okay. But, okay, he does not disclose and in fact conceals such knowledge to the authorities mentioned, enumerated under the article. Okay. So, this misprision of treason, as I've said a while ago, is actually a crime by omission. Diba? A crime is an act or omission punishable by law. Ito yung example ng crime by omission. Okay. If you're going to read the article, nakalagay doon sa later portion, shall be punished as an accessory to the crime of treason. Ang ibig sabihin ba, if you conceal, okay, or if you do not disclose, okay, knowledge of conspiracy and proposal to commit treason, are you an accessory? No. Okay. Under this provision, you are still liable as a principal. Okay, balik tayo sa Criminal Law 1, yung liability, diba? Merong principal, merong accomplice, may accessory. Okay. If you commit all the elements of the acts of misprision of treason, you are actually a principal, okay, for the commission of misprision of treason. Only that your punishment is computed in the same way or treated, okay, in the same way as an accessory to the crime of treason. Pero ikaw ay principal pa rin, treated as a principal for the crime of misprision of treason. Okay? To Article 116 for misprision of treason. Okay. What if the acts constituting treason has already been committed? Okay. What if yung actual assembly of men, tapos they already brought up arms against the government? Kumbaga nagawa na lahat yung acts ng treason. Tapos there was failure to disclose such fact or information. Would you still be held liable for misprision of treason under Article 116? Yes or no? Okay. The answer is no. Okay. Because what misprision of treason punishes is the failure to disclose knowledge of conspiracy and proposal to commit treason. Okay. It is not the failure to disclose a consummated treason. Okay. Bakit? Because the rationale for this provision of the law is to prevent, okay, a possible taking up arms against the government. It is to prevent any acts to overthrow the government. Pag nagawa na, you have no more obligation, okay, to inform. Okay, it will no longer make you criminally liable. Okay, so may na ba tayo sa misprision of treason? Okay. So the next article, Article 117, is for espionage. Okay, this is the crime of gathering, disclosing, or losing information, okay, which are vital to the national security or to the national defense of the Republic of the Philippines, okay, with the knowledge, okay, or information that such confidential information will be detrimental or injurious, okay, to the national defense or national security of the nation. Okay, so this espionage, this crime under Article 117 could be committed in two ways, okay, same as treason. The first way is by entering without authority a warship, a naval vessel, a military establishment. Okay? And number two is by disclosing, okay, information necessary or confidential information to a third party or a foreign nation. Okay? So those are the two ways of committing. Okay, wait lang, hindi ako mapakali. Okay, I forgot. Okay, balik tayo saglit dun sa misprision of treason. Okay. This misprision of treason is actually a crime. Okay. Pagbabalikan mo yung misprision of treason, nakalagay doon yung Article 116. Okay. Okay. That the person shall be punished as an accessory to the crime of treason. Hindi ko alam kung na-discuss ko na or na-delete ko kasi may na-delete ako kanina. Okay. So, babalikan na natin. Okay. Under Article 116, misprision of treason, yung last paragraph, pumunta kayo doon sa Article 116. Nakalagay doon, okay, it shall be punished as an accessory to the crime of treason. Does it mean that a person is, if you commit the acts constituting misprision of treason, does it mean that you are a accessory? No. Okay. That means that you are still a principal, only that your penalty would be computed as an accessory to the crime of treason. Okay. So, yun ang misprision of treason. Hindi ko lang kasi alam, kasi may na-delete akong clip. Okay. Just in case. Okay. So, balik tayo sa Article 117, which is espionage. Okay. So, it is the crime of gathering, okay, gathering, transmitting, or disclosing, or losing information which is vital to the national security or national defense of the Philippines, okay, with the knowledge or intent that such information is injurious or detrimental to the Philippines. Okay, there are two ways of committing Article 117. Number one, entering without authority a warship, a naval establishment, a military base, okay. And number two, okay, disclosing information to a foreign nation. Okay. So, under the first mode of committing, okay, the crime of espionage or espionage. Number one, offender enters any of the places I have previously enumerated. So, tignan niyo yun sa Article 117. And number two, he has no authority to enter such place or establishment. And number three, okay, the purpose of entering such place or establishment is to obtain information, photographs, maps, okay, and other data which are relative to the defense of the Philippines. Okay? Yun yung elements ng first mode of commission. Okay. So, what if, okay, for example, ako si Dennis, espiya ako, tapos papasukin ko sana yung kampo, okay, yung kampo ng AFP, Armed Forces of the Philippines sa Sulu, sa Patikol. Okay. So, pupunta ako doon para ma-obtain ko yung mga mapa, yung mga information, kung sino yung mga, okay, nag-counterintelligence sa mga terrorists. Okay. So, nandun yung mga names, kung sino yung mga intelligence officers, etc., etc. Yun yung intention ko. So ngayon, ako si Dennis, pumasok ako dun sa, gusto kong pumasok pala, doon sa kampo na yon. Okay. May dadaanan akong pader. Okay. So, nakit ko yung pader, papunta na ako, kumuha na ako ng rope. Binato ko doon yung rope. Okay. Tapos, paakyat na ako. Before ako makalagpas dun sa pader, nahuli ako ng isang sundalo. Okay. So, hindi ako naka-enter. Okay. Doon sa kampo. Am I liable under Article 117? Yes or no? Yes or no? So the answer is no, because I was not able to enter. So I may be liable for other crimes, but not espionage. So what if, okay, nakapasok ako, okay, napasok ko yung kampo, tapos papunta na ako dun sa office, sa kubo kung saan nandun yung mga mapa at information. Okay. So nakapasok na ako sa kampo, tapos kukunin ko na yung mga photographs, yung mga mapa. Okay. Punta na ako doon. Pagbukas ko, okay, nung kubo, okay, nahuli ako ng sundalo. So, hindi ko na-obtain yung photographs. I am liable for espionage? Okay. The answer here is yes. Despite the fact that I was not able to obtain the photographs, the data, or information, the fact that I was able to enter, and the fact that it is my intent, I am liable for espionage under Article 117. Okay. Second mode of commission. Okay. Disclosing to the representative of a foreign nation, okay, this information. So the elements are as follows. Number one, offender is a public officer. Number two, he has in his possession, okay, articles, data, or information referred a while ago. And number three, he discloses their contents to a representative of a foreign nation. Okay, so meron kang vital information, binigay mo doon sa representative ng foreign nation. Okay. this Article 170 actually punishes only the custodian of these records. Correct? Okay. So, paano kung private individual ka, tapos hindi ka, wala kang authority to hold this information? Okay. Are you liable for Article 117? The answer is no. Okay. For example, ako, private individual ako, tapos may hawak akong information, tapos binigay ko sa foreign representative. Am I liable? Under this article, I am not liable because specific yung crime, public officer. Okay. Therefore, because of this loophole, the legislative department, okay, and enacted a law, okay, CA 616, okay, an act to punish espionage and other offenses. Okay, this is a special law, okay, which punishes private individual who may have access to this vital information and discloses it to another individual. Okay, so this is the crime of espionage under Article 117. Okay. So, i-differentiate lang natin. Treason can be committed only during war times. It is a war crime. Pero pag Article 117, espionage, it could be committed during wartime and peacetime. Okay? And what else? Okay. Treason can be committed only by levying war and adherence to enemies by giving them aid or comfort. Yung Article 117 naman can be committed by disclosing information, by entering without authority, okay, and by disclosing, okay, by public officer disclosing information to a foreign nation. It could also be committed by a private individual who holds information and discloses it to a foreign representative of a foreign nation. Okay. So, we are now done with the crimes, okay, against the national security. Okay. So, if you have any questions, you know what to do. Okay. Now, next video lecture, I will be discussing the crimes against the laws of the nation. Okay. So, I hope you enjoyed this lecture and you can share it kasi someone asked me if I can share the YouTube link of this video is actually unlisted. So, it can only be viewed by persons who have access to the link. Okay, so, but you can share it. Okay? If you want to share it to some other persons, it's okay. Okay, for as long as you just use this for your own for your own personal use and for academic purposes only. So, it's okay. So, just message me or message your class president if you have questions, and then we will try to answer them before uploading the next videos. Okay? So, okay na tayo?